Hi, this is Gayle with BERNINA of Naperville, and welcome to a very important announcement. That's right. Now, it's not a huge secret that we are doing the Kimberbell Dealer Digital Exclusives for 2025, but what is a very hidden secret is what we're making. Well, what do we know? We know that it's a 30-inch by about 48-inch quilt, and it's got a ladybug on it, and that's what we're going to make today. But the way that it's going to work is if you want to participate in this program, when you sign up at BERNINAofNaperville.com, you are going to get a choice of getting the kit with the fabric and the embellishments, or the kit with the designs, the fabric, and the embellishments. Now, you're going to get all of the things that you need for the full year. So that's kind of important because as we go from month to month, I'm going to be showing you what you're going to need for each month and what you need to gather out of your kit. Now, our portion is going to start mid-January, January 15th, in fact, and then you will be getting your assignments for the first block. Now, this promo block that we're doing with the ladybugs, they are also in the quilt as well. But you're going to be able to make these for free. And I've got a little project that you can use them on in case you don't want to take the plunge and do the full quilt kit. How is BERNINA of Naperville making this different? Well, we're also going to be giving you a free background quilted piece so that you can do the block by block quilting, but we are using our own original designs that we're doing. So even now, we're going to make one using our stitch designer and the BERNINA 990. Yes, I did say the BERNINA 990 because, hey, at BERNINA of Naperville, we really focus on top-of-the-line embroidery machines, and we thought our new BERNINA 990 owners or our BERNINA 790 Pro owners would like a Kimberbell project that is catered just for them. So don't fret if you do not have one of those machines. If you have a BERNINA 590 or if you have some other embroidery machine, you can still do the program with us. But fair warning, we're going to be using our top-of-the-line machines. So you want to go see what we're making this time? See the little promo and how cute it is? Come on, let's do it. Well, like I said, that this is a year-long project. It actually officially starts January 15th of 2025, but we've got our little promotional project, like I said, that's free. So it's still December for just a few days. So let's have a look at what you're going to get when you sign up with BERNINA of Naperville, in addition to what Kimberbell normally provides. So we're giving you the kit, the embellishments, all of that good stuff. But I also wanted to let you know that you are going to get this presentation deck. And this is going to be an interactive PDF where we will have active links that will take you to other information. It'll take you to downloads and things like that. So this is important for you to have. And you're only going to get this presentation deck if you actually sign up for the BERNINA of Naperville version of the Kimberbell Digital Dealer Exclusive 2025 Mystery Quilt. Now that's a mouthful, right? So we put the video that you're watching right now embedded here in the presentation deck as well, because, sometimes these videos get lost on YouTube if you don't know exactly where to look. And then also here is where you can sign up for this, or you can view the kit, and you can click here for the exact fabric list and the embellishment kit contents. So what do you get in your kit? Well, you're going to get the fabric, and there is way more fabric than you need. So there's lots of opportunity for whoopsies, which I kind of find because there are so many times when I make one of these projects, I always have maybe a little whoops, And so you're going to get that. And it is actually from the Kimberbell Basics collection. So let's have a look at the fabric portion. And so you can see here, this is all of the cutting instructions as well as a small little preview of the swatches that will show you exactly what fabric you need to use each month. Now, in the embellishment kit, you're going to get the list of the embellishments here. There's buttons, there's rhinestones, there's vinyl, there's all kinds of fun stuff that you're going to be attaching each month. Now, as far as stabilizer, we're not including stabilizer, but we have combined all of the stabilizers you will use for 2025 into one bundle that list these items. So you can just click this link right here, and that will take you right to our Kimberbell Society Stabilizer bundle. Then the threads. Now, we're going to be announcing the thread colors on a month-by-month basis. We're starting this month with the charcoal, which is Isocord 40 weight embroidery thread number 4174, the red, which is 1902, and the cream, which is 0101. Now, there will be other months when you will need to use these again, so we will repeat these every once in a while. But for this month, you only need those 3 colors.
So for our supplies, we're going to be using the Bernina small clamp hoop. Now, I like the Bernina small clamp hoop for this because we're going to be floating our pieces. And if you're not familiar with what that means, that's when you hoop just the stabilizer and then you place your fabric, stabilizer, and pieces like that on your hoop as you're building your items. And the small clamp hoop is a one-piece hoop with the little clamps around it that really hold the stabilizer taut. Some other items that you're going to need is the light mesh cutaway stabilizer. That's the one layer that we are going to be hooping in the hoop. If you like stabilizer tape, bobbin thread, for this project, we do not need to have matching thread in top and bottom. You're going to need small scissors for the trim and place applique. And you're going to need some fabric. And the fabric that you're going to need is the red with white polka dots, the black crackle, and the green with tiny pink flower buds. You're also going to need a little bit of project batting. And that's what I'm using for our block by block quilting. In addition to the other things that I mentioned, we are going to need some fusible backing to adhere to the backside of your background fabric. This just gives it a little bit more stability and helps the quilt hang a lot better since this will be a wall hanging size. Did I just give too much away? Let's talk about cutting. So we're going to be making 2 identical blocks. So the cutting instructions listed are for 2 blocks. From the background, that's that green with the tiny pink flowers. You're going to need 2 6.5 by 6.5. From the body, you're going to need 2 3.5 by 3.5. And from the ladybug wings, you're also going to need 2 3.5 by 3.5. In the embellishment kit, there's some flexi foam, and you're going to need 2 3.5 by 3.5 sizes of that. And then the project batting that I mentioned earlier, you're going to need 2 6.5 by 6.5, and also 2 6.5 by 6.5 of fusible backing that you're also going to be getting from that stabilizer kit or on your own.
The designs. Now, this lesson is for all embroidery machines, and Kimberbell is only providing you one design, but it's going to fit in a 4-inch by 4-inch hoop. And this is where you can click to order your free Kimberbell ladybug design. Now, remember that the designs will be emailed to you directly from your Kimberbell account. So here's the deal. You have to be sure to order this with the same email you use at Kimberbell's website. But don't worry, we have a little link in this presentation deck on how exactly to retrieve your designs once you order them. Now, BERNINA of Naperville, that's me, is going to provide you a free background quilted design created each month to quilt for your block by block quilting. And here you will click to download your background quilting design this month.
Now, Kimberbell is also giving you the quilting designs for your block by block, and it's from this super cute spring collection. So don't be alarmed. You can still use the Kimberbell ones, but we're going to show you how to create your own background quilting design, frankly, just because we can.
So I mentioned that I would show you how to get your Kimberbell designs, and simply watch here and see how I retrieved the little taco cord organizer. Even though it's not exactly what you're going to be downloading, the concept is exactly the same. All right, so now let's get to the nitty gritty of this. And the first thing that we're going to need to learn for our little promotional demonstration is how I created the block by block quilting design. So you're going to learn how to do it right on your Bernina 990, but if you want to just use ours instead, just download our design and you're going to get something that looks just like that. So come on, let's roll up those sleeves and get to it.
So I'm just going to send my designs wirelessly over to my machine. And just as a reminder, you can send it to the hard drive of your B990 or to the short-term memory using the needle. And once the designs have been transferred, it's time to have some fun. Okay, so let's start by selecting our Kimberbell quilting design. You can see this one is the little daisies and the scallops like the Kimberbell one, and this one is perfectly fine to use. So if you wanted to use this design, you would just proceed with adding the ladybug at this point. So hold this thought, right? But what we want to do is actually alter this design so we can add our own designs in here. So I'm going to start by going to my edit crayon, going to select ungroup. And if you look over here, you'll notice that all of those layers have been broken apart here on the right. Now, what I would like to do is eliminate the Kimberbell background quilting design. So I want to keep my placement stitches and all of those things. I'm just going to select stitch number 5, or color number 5 rather, click, hold, and drag to the side. So here is where it gets fun. We're going to switch over to our sewing side. Then we're going to look in our decorative stitches to folder 101, flower, (164). Now, if we have a deep look at this flower piece, you'll notice that there are some satiny stitches and everything on it, and those aren't appropriate for our background quilting. Now, it's fine if I wanted to put a decorative stitch back there, and you can do that. You can do whatever you want. This is your project. I'm opting to alter this stitch. So I'm going to use my stitch designer for that. And I'm going to start with selecting some. And that's the arrow with the 2 dots in the middle. That's similar to selecting our layers in our embroidery side on our Bernina 990. Then I'm going to use my arrows down here, and I'm going to back up because it lands at stitch 83 of 83. So that means there are 83 needle penetration marks in this design. And I want to back up perfect. Now I want to back up a little bit more through my design until I'm at stitch number 65. Then I'm going to select some again. I'm going to back up all the way to this node right there. That's 58 of 67, and now I'm going to delete. Now I'm simply going to start adding some stitches, and I'm going to do that by touching on this longer line there and clicking. And what I'm doing in this case is I'm just adding shorter stitches. Then I'm going to travel down to this node and add a node there, travel, another node, travel, and draw a few more by just clicking below this line. And if you notice over here on the right, you can see how that flower is changing. So what I want to do is select my nodes by going to the move icon, use the external knobs on my 990, and turn my nodes so that they make like a little curve to meet this line. So it's going to kind of go like that. And this is a delicate procedure. And if you don't like using the nodes, and if you don't like using the knobs, you can left click, hold, and drag. Left click, hold, and drag. Once you get something that you like, go ahead and select the green check mark. And we're going to have to do a little bit of editing here. So we're going to click our edit crayon, select a repeat of 5 times. All we're going to do with this because we want to keep this design this size. So let's hop on over to our embroidery side again.
Once you've hopped over to your embroidery side, I want you to save this design. So we're going to select this download icon and we're going to type blank.
Once you've saved your design, you're going to select all, click, hold, and swipe. We want to load our stitch designed creation. You can find that one under your personal folder. Rotate it 90 degrees. Duplicate it, move it until it's just slightly offset. And then I want you to notice that on my screen, I have show start stop, and that's where we can see that it's going to be green at this end and stitch and stop there. Then it would move over here and stitch this one, but I want there to be a smaller jump stitch. So it would be nice if we started here, went to there, then jumped here and so forth. Or if we wanted it to start here, go here and there. But the idea is that I want one of these rows to start in the opposite direction. So let's just pick the top one. And now I just want to pick one of these rows. And I know it seems silly, but we have to mirror it up and down because that's originally how it came in. Now it's going to stitch here, stop, go to this point, and now stitch. So I want to pick both of these, group them. I want to go to Endless Embroidery, which is right here next to Show Start Stop. And we don't need this many repetitions. Let's pick 4 times, and then you're probably going to see all corner arrows blue. So to get them not blue and to remove that anchor point, just touch it. Just select the green check mark. I want you to save this design. Leave it on your USB stick. Now I'm going to delete this design because we saved it. That blank Kimberbell design we created. Once you select your saved design, we're going to insert our flowers. You might notice that they come in multiple colors. Don't worry, we're going to fix that. So now we just want to enlarge this so it extends just a little bit past the design. In fact, let's ungroup. We don't even need this bottom piece. So we're going to delete that. And now we are going to change these all to the same color. I don't care what color, just change them all to the same color. So we're going to go into colors. Just pick lilac number 12. Just clicking on each one and then picking that lilac color. Then we're going to go back and we're going to the screen and we're going to select the group. We're going to group this combination. Allow me to kind of move this around and get it right into a spot that will cover this design. And now we're ready to stitch it out. And I'm not going to have my quilt settings on. And I want my color to be reduced thread changes. We have color 1, color 2, color 3, color 4, and color 5. So there are 5 colors now in this design. So now, before we stitch this out, we have one more thing that we need to do. Let's go back to Edit. The thing that I like about this, because I can always kind of toggle back and forth between Edit and Stitch Out. So now let's add that ladybug. And everything looks happy. So this is grouped together, this is grouped together. And I go to my Align choices. Align center vertical, horizontal. Sure that that ladybug is right in the center. Like before, I'm ready to stitch out. Settings that I set up before. And now let's prep everything. Well, we put our fusible backing on our background fabric, and we've got our poly mesh or our light mesh cutaway in there, and it's time to put the hoop on the machine. And don't forget, you're going to do this only when your machine prompts you, no matter what model Bernina you have. And now you can see there's our piece and our hoop. And the first thing we're going to be stitching down is our placement stitch. And I like to do a thread up command just to make sure that all of my stitches hold. And sometimes, that first stitch of the day gives you that little Bernina burp. But once that's complete, we're just going to stitch that square. And this square is actually about the size of our block. I've got my project batting that I'm placing right here, and then I'm going to stitch that down. And then once this is stitched, you're going to make sure you either use your duckbill scissors or your serrated curved scissors to make sure that you can clip that batting really close to the stitching line. And what Kimberbell will do with these is give you 2 rows of stitching so that if you cut one little thread, you've got like a backup there. And that's why I thought it was important to use the original Kimberbell design as a base. And now this is a placement line for the fabric. And this particular line is actually also the cutting line for your block. But first, it's telling us where we can put this interfaced background fabric. And then we stitch that down. And after that gets stitched down, it's time to stitch our original quilting design. And if you did this on your 990, like I showed you, you are going to have some jump stitches from row to row. In the video, what you're seeing is I am stitching out the free quilting design that I'm giving you. And in that case, I made little connecting stitches so that this stitches out very fast and easy for you. See that little stitch that went down from one row to the next? I added that in to make sure it was a smooth stitch out for you. So now we're ready to do the ladybug. And first things first with that, because we added that ladybug in on top of our quilting design, the next stitch in the sequence is the placement stitch for the wings. And this is a placement stitch for that flex foam that you got out of your embellishment kit. And once again, this is going to go around each wing twice. And then I have to admit, this is not my favorite stuff to trim, but you don't have to get as accurate or super duper close because the satin stitching that's going to cover this ultimately will flatten down that foam a little bit. Now we're going to switch our thread to the charcoal, and we're going to stitch the antenna, then the placement stitch for our black body. Follow that around with 2 rows. Remember, the machine does all of this for you. Then we're going to trim close. And you want to get closer at the bottom and around the head because those sides are going to be covered with red fabric. And it does this little decorative stitch, not a satin stitch. It's more of an open stitch. And now finally, let's switch to the red thread where we'll do our placement lines for our polka dotted fabric. And I opted to not use the stabilizer tape. I'm just kind of holding it in place. But if you're new to this, you might want to use the stabilizer tape and then trim again all of that red stuff away. Now the satin stitching on this is a little wider, so you don't need to trim super duper close, but there's nothing worse than like fuzzies hanging out from under your satin stitching. And now once this is stitched, it's totally fine to admire your work. I certainly do that quite often. And it's going to come out of the hoop, and we're going to trim it up. And there's a couple different ways that we can trim this. First of all, we would have that outline stitching that you saw. That is a good reference point. And I can show you that with my ruler here. But also another way would be for you to use the Kimberbell orange pop rulers, which is what is recommended from Kimberbell. But I like these Creative Grid square up rulers. Now we're going to square this up to 4.5 inches. And I'm using a mechanical pencil. Once I've centered my ladybug there on my square up rulers, and this is just making a dot in each corner. And then once I have my dots clear so my tired old eyes can see those, then I can use the ruler to trim. And because I am recommending for this project, if you choose to do it, to make each block as you go, don't burden yourself with cutting the entire quilt and then doing this. We're going to just cut our pieces month by month. And so I'm going to put these aside because these are going to go in our mystery quilt. And if we look at our little sneak peek tapestry here, we will see that there are a couple spots right there. And then down here for our ladybug promotional block. I'm so excited. Now, I gave you an alternative project. If you decide that you don't want to do this, you don't want to do this quilt or whatever, this From the Vault project was for a 10-inch storage box. Now, of course, we're going to make a much smaller 4.5-inch storage box if you choose to do this, but it's perfect for a spring plant.
Right. So are you ready to celebrate the 15th of every month with us with this Kimberbell mystery project? I know that sometimes we get a little anxiety when we don't know what something looks like and all of those things, but you know what? It's all an adventure we can go on together. And I promise I am going to make this worth your time because I'm going to give you other little tips, tricks, projects that you can do if you don't want to make the quilt and all kinds of stuff. So please join us. Go over to BERNINAofNaperville.com, search Kimberbell Mystery Quilt, and there you will find the options for you to sign up. And I'd love for you to join us. And don't forget, we are using exactly what Kimberbell used to make their sample. So we're doing the Kimberbell basic fabrics, and the only thing that you're going to have to add is batting, stabilizer, and thread. All right, well, thank you for joining us, and don't forget to hop on over to our Bernina of Naperville YouTube channel for other tutorials, funny things, and very serious videos. All right, it's easy to get to. It's simply youtube.com/Bernina of Naperville, and there you can like, comment, and subscribe. Happy embroidery, and happy 2025, everybody.